All right, let's do this next block. Okay, so I have my 6 by 12 inch marking done on my quilt sandwich, and I have my center of the side marked where I brought my thread up, and then I have the dead center marked there. So again, I'm going to take my spiral ruler, and this time I'm going to gap it 1/4 inch off of that center line. And now I'm going to stitch right up to that center line. Now I'm going to, remember I said we were going to turn this over? Here we go, we're turning it over. So now I'm going to line this up. I'm centering this circular part around where my thread came up, and I'm going to come right back down. Okay, I'm now going to echo this. So I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to measure up there. Can I see that? Yes. So my first line is on my stitch line. So I'm coming up to my stitch line. Now I'm going to rotate it. Again, I'm centering down here, so I come back to the same place. My first line should be on this stitch line. I'm coming back down. All right, now I'm going to rotate it again. This time, first line on my previous stitch line. Coming back up, stop at the center. Rotate it, center down here, and first line on the previous stitch line. Come back down. And I'm going to do that one more time. Rotate again, first line on the previous stitch line. Coming up to the center line, swap that over, center that so I stay in the same place, and come back down. All right, now I kind of want to make this look like a little melon blossom is what I kind of want to do. So now I'm going to add a little bit of a accenty kind of a looking thing. And I'm going to actually look at my picture to make sure I'm doing this right, or the one I did before. Yeah, okay. All right, so I'm going to come outside of my stitch line, and I'm going to line up the the outside of my foot with this stitch line. Then I'm going to take this guy, and I am going to see here. I'm going to gap this right there. I need my seam line. I want a 1/2 inch gap because I don't want it lost in the seam line. So we're going to go right like that. Oops, and then I lost my, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to come out. Going down to my seam line. And then I'm actually going to keep this right where it is, and I'm going to rotate this down a little bit, and I'm going to gap 1/2 inch here. Okay, then I'm going to come back in, and I'm going to stitch back. Just like that. Okay, and I had a little wobble there. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to come out over on this other side. Do the same thing on this side. Gap and 1/2 inch. And gap another 1/2 inch. Make sure that's centered where it's supposed to be. Okay, I can stitch off, cut my thread, and then now I'm going to finish this off by doing some nice echo lines. So I'm going to, what do I do with my straight edge? There I go. Now I'm going to take my straight edge, and I'm actually going to start over here, and I'm going to do inch wide increments. I'm going to start on the outside so I don't have to bring my thread up. And come down to this stitch line. Now I'm going to travel. And traveling is where you just go real slowly over your previous stitching line until I can get the 3rd line lined up on my ruler. I'll come back out. Now I'll come over. Again, my 3rd line is on. Coming down. And again, travel really carefully along that previous stitch line till I get my 3rd line on it. And just stitch outside your seam line so that you don't have to worry about overlaps. Always do that. Now this one is one that you're going to only come down to the top of your petal. We're not going to do this part down here because we want to leave this design out. So I just came to the top of my little melon flower, whatever we're going to call that. I'm traveling back up till that 3rd line is on. And up we go. Traveling down. Let's see. Whoops. Well, I just made a big boo-boo on my travel, but okay. You guys are going to have to forgive me for that. Shoot. Big wobble. Big wobble, you guys. So I'm probably going to pull that stitch out because I made a big wobble, so it is not ruined. It's just I'm going to pull that stitch out, and instead of trying to travel that distance, I'm going to go over here and start on the outside and stitch my way down. Like this. And then, like I said, I'm going to go back in and just pull this stitch out where that little wobble is. Okay, now I'm traveling. And going back up. And you guys get the idea. So we're going to finish off these nice stitch lines in. And then you'll have a back fill. And then when this is in your block, you're going to see that. And that. Easy peasy. Okay. That is the second of these 2 blocks. So those are all you need. We've finished all 4 of these small filler blocks now. So next time we're going to do a couple of the larger blocks, the side larger blocks. That's it for this one.